What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming back at you tonight to kind of get back on track of giving you guys a little bit of bass fishing 101. This time, what I'm gonna do is we've got our tournament schedule for, I'm in a small little local bass club called the Ray Hubbard Bass Club here in North Texas. And we fish pretty much every month from February all the way until November, something like that. So we don't take off too much, December and January, and then we're back at it again. But I want to go ahead and share my schedule with you guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through this schedule each month, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how I plan and prepare for these outings, for these tournaments, and then we can maybe look back and see how we did. Now, again, I am absolutely no professional weekend warrior for sure. I've got my own job, plus I got this job as well. We got all kinds of good stuff going on, so I don't have tons of time to be on the water, but I've spent tons and tons and tons of time on the water and have plenty of hours out there and have really good experience. So hopefully some of these experiences I can share with you by going through these breakdowns, kind of talking to you about what I would do in certain types of the seasons. In this example, we're in the pre-spawn, very, very early pre-spawn. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about what I would be looking for, the areas I'm gonna focus on. And for this one, we're going out to Lake Palestine. Let's go check it out. Bam. Well, let's go ahead and jump in here and let's take a look at Lake Palestine using Google Earth. Now, obviously we could use the Simplistic mobile app, but it's gonna be a lot easier for me to show you guys this using Google Earth, so that's what we're gonna go with. Now, over here on my left-hand side, these are all the breakdowns that we've done. We've done a ton. This is a treasure trove of information here, but we're gonna go down here to Texas. And you can see these are all the lakes we've broken down in Texas. Again, just plugs for Simplistic Fishing. If you got the South region on the mobile app, you will have access to all of these lakes. So when you go in there and it says $19.99, that's not just for one lake, that's for the entire region. Part of the region is Texas. You also get Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana in the South region. So just remember that when you're going through there. So I'll quit plugging in about that and let's just take a look. So we're gonna go down here to Palestine, and we're gonna click that, and then we're gonna zoom in here and take a look at this lake. So this is a pretty cool lake. I've fished it several times now, so I have a pretty good idea of what I'm gonna wanna do when I'm down there pre-fishing. But every time that I come up with a good plan for pre-fishing, as you guys know that do a lot of tournaments, something happens and I end up going a totally different direction. So it'll be really cool to go back and look at these videos after we do this tournament to see if we did what I talked about on these videos and if anything on these videos was successful. If it is, I'll definitely get back with you guys and I'll let you know, hey, these were very successful areas or this was a successful pattern. So I'll try to kind of walk you guys through that as we do this season. Now, I am definitely not a professional angler. I'm just a weekend warrior that's been fishing for 30 something years and had some pretty good success through those years. So just want to share my experiences with you guys and hopefully help you guys get on some more fish. So let's take a look at Lake Palestine. We're gonna go ahead and zoom in here. Now, first thing, when we're out fishing for pre-spawn, now, right, this is a tournament's gonna be in February the 8th, likely gonna be freezing cold. We're just getting into the early pre-spawn, right? And some fish may be getting close to starting to bed, kind of come into February, mid-February, late February, definitely into early March. It's really just all going to depend on our weather, but the fish should be in pre-spawn or really close to pre-spawn. So the main thing that we're looking for here when we go into like a pre-spawn type weather, especially now remember I'm down here in Texas, so some of you up in the north, you're gonna be like, this is crazy, this guy's going fishing February 8th, but we are. It's awesome. So the water temps are a really, really big deal, right? For me, it's 55 degrees or better. If I can find 55-degree water or better, then I'm gonna more than likely stay in that area because that's gonna give me a little bit more active fish. Now, that's not saying that you can't get into 50-degree water and have a good day, but 55 degrees is kind of where I'll target. So if I'm looking at a lake, especially like here, Lake Palestine, typically the northern end of the lake is the shallower end of the lake, and that typically, it gets warmer quicker. It's also protected by the winds coming from the north, which doesn't cool the water down as much up there. So typically you're gonna find your warmer water on the northern side. Now, some of you guys are gonna be like, yeah, but I've caught fish way down here in January. I'm sure you have. I'm just trying to play percentages here because I only have a few days to fish this lake and find the fish. So I'm not gonna pay too much attention to the southern part of the lake. If I was, just really quick, but if I was going to pay attention to the southern part of the lake, there's two areas down here that I would probably spend some time in. Now, maybe the weather pans out and I can't fish the north side. I've got to have a backup plan to fish the south side. So let's just talk about it really quick. When we're coming down to here, there's just a couple areas. One, I'm going to get back in here, right? I'm going to come back in here. Probably gonna fish this little bridge right in here. This could be really good. It's got, you know, the creek channel coming out. Maybe they haven't gone all the way back in here to the flats yet, so they're gonna be setting up. You know, typically what you're looking for in your pre-spawn, obviously you're looking for your water temps. You're gonna be looking for flats, and we're not gonna fish those flats, but we're gonna fish the areas close to those flats. Creek channels are gonna be a huge deal, so we're gonna really pay attention to creek channels as we go through this. And secondary points. Secondary points will be a big deal, and so we'll really want to pay attention. If we can find any secondary points, we're going to pay attention to those, and if we can find debris or cover or something on those points, that's going to bring it up to an even higher level. And then last but not least is we're going to look for areas that are protected from the northerly winds. So we want the land to be on the north side of us and protecting, basically blocking that wind from hitting the water. So if I'm thinking that, you know, we're thinking anything, if I'm fishing right here where my hand is, anything fishing this way, right? Anything casting towards the north, casting into the north wind, that's going to be how you're going to want to set up. So we've got this area here, so I would check out this area. Also, I liked this little area right in here. Now, it doesn't really look like much, but it looks like there may be some little creeks maybe coming in here, but this is very well protected, right? I'm looking for areas that are protected. And if I'm in here, and we won't have a chance to pull up the contours, so we won't have enough time on the video, but I'm sure that this could be like a little secondary point right in here, or, you know, maybe even right in here. But anyways, I would just take a look down through here for sure, especially back in here, because this is very protected. All right. Again, you know, another spot you could look at would be back in here, very protected area, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at. You're kind of getting the gist of it. And there was another spot back in here that I really liked. It was back here. So it's in, you got Fish Bay right here. And if you pull off to the left and go to the west, you come way down here in this Cobb Inlet. And as you're coming down, there's a couple things here. One, there's a little ditch that comes out here. And this thing's kind of interesting. Let me pull this back, show you guys. If I can get this far enough back here. I think we got to go to like 2013 or something like that to be able to see it, but we're gonna get there. And then we'll probably just leave it there, right here. So this ditch, it doesn't look like much, but sometimes they love to set up and stuff like that, right? That's like just a couple feet deeper than everything else around it, but it gives them really quick access to come up in here. So you may want to check that out. They may not be anything, but this area back in here could definitely be something. So you've got it, it's well protected, right? It's well protected back in here. It's pretty shallow, so the water's gonna warm up a lot quicker back here. You've got a creek that runs back in here, or something, some kind of creek of some sort that runs back in here, and it drains out into this ditch. And then I've marked this little green spot because this is really just like a little channel, little channels that kind of run through here. I don't know if the stream kind of broke off there or where it goes, but you can follow those, and those are going to be their deeper areas inside of that flat. So you can definitely take a look at that as well. All right, so I'm done there though, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus more on probably anything north of this area right in here. So I think this is, I forget what they call this, Ledbetter Inlet. So this is Ledbetter Inlet and Higsaw Cove. I'm probably not going to go any further south than here. So I would mark my line and say, okay, I'm going to focus on the lake. This is a giant lake, right? Or maybe not a giant lake to some of you guys, but to me, it's a big lake. And I only have so many days to fish it. So anything north of here, pretty much anything north of that bridge, but we're going to include this bay. Now this bay can be really, really good for sure. You can just tell it's shallower, it's protected. You've got a protected area up here. You've got a really good protected area back in here. And I just know from experience, there are a lot of fish back in this area. So this could be a good spot to go. And what would I throw back here? Honestly, I would just do the old school fishing. I would tie on a red rattle trap and I would just go to town. I'd just fish the whole entire thing. Banks, grass, anything I could find, just fish it and just see what I could pick up. There's not anything here that really sticks out to me that says, hey, fish here. I mean, there's some areas in here that, you know, you may want to focus a little more on, like where this creek comes in. If you see anything kind of pointing out, maybe back over in here, these couple points that are over here, these could be productive. That little hump possibly. this little secondary point that's up here, this could be a little productive little area. And then obviously back in here where this creek channel is coming in and flowing in, that could be good too. So that's going to be about it for there. And then obviously I'm going to go out here and go to the openings of the bridges right here and right here. And I'm still going to be throwing that A-rig, right? The A-rig's still going to be a deal all the way through springtime. And you still got those monsters that are going to go out and hang out on those pillars. And when they do, they're really easy to catch with the A-rig. So I'm definitely going to be A-rigging on both those pillars as well. All right, then we're going to pull out. And pretty much as I move up here and I'm looking for next places to fish, right? I'm going to be looking for water temps that are 55 degree or above. So the higher I get, if it gets warmer, I'm just going to start marking off the stuff that's below me. I'm looking for flats. I'm looking for creek channels. I'm looking for secondary points, and I'm looking for places that are protected from the north wind. So if I'm moving up here and I come out of Ledbetter, I can run up here. And although this isn't necessarily north facing, if you move down here, there is a nice little creek channel that's down here with a giant flat, right? So again, where am I going to hang out here and where am I going to look at here? I'm going to follow the creek channel. I'm going to fish the trees going into the creek channel because those could have some big girls setting up on them before they come back in here. Probably going to fish this little point back here. If that's a little boat ramp, I can't tell if that's a boat ramp or not, but if it is, I'd probably definitely fish that little boat ramp in there. Anyways, I would just take a look at that area. It's very well protected. I like it. It looks good. Also, as we move on up here, you've got this little area back in here where these docks are. This is very well protected too, and pretty shallow too. So you could take a look at that. That one's not really too high. And then I like this area up in here too. You got some debris and stuff that you could check out. It's pretty well protected in here as well. Nothing too crazy up in there. Now, as we move on up, this is when we start getting into the juice, right? So we have 3 different areas here that you can focus on, and you can spend days in all of these areas. So right here on the left, this is what they call Flat Creek, I believe. Hopefully I'm telling you guys right. Yes, Flat Creek. So this is Flat Creek. Now, also, when you go out to Lake Palestine, make sure you get the boat lanes, because if you don't, you're not going to have a lowered unit. There's trees everywhere in this lake. But Flat Creek is known to be a very good area. So you could go into Flat Creek, and again, you're kind of just going through the bank. And if it's me and it's pre-spawn, again, I'm throwing that rattle trap. I'm probably throwing a red chatterbait for sure, and then some kind of flipping bait, maybe. But probably going to try to stick with the moving baits the best that I can, because we got to cover a ton of water in order to catch fish. And maybe, luckily, we stumble across an area where we've got a couple good ones and we can set there. In that case, I might slow down, but for the most part, I'm throwing moving stuff. I'm throwing square bills. I'm throwing chatterbaits. I'm throwing spinner baits. I'm throwing that hybrid hunter for sure, and the lipless. So these are good areas back in here, especially if you can get back in here around these creek channels and find some warm pockets. You could actually get into some good stuff. There's a ditch back in here too. You could take a look at fishing around this area, see if maybe you have some pretty good water there. It's very well protected here. You've also got on the offshore side, you've got some offshore bridges you can fish around about here. You've got A-rig opportunities out here off this bridge too. So lots of good stuff going on in that area. Now I'm going to zoom on out, and then we're going to move up. We're going to talk about the next area. And I believe this little area right here has a name. I think it's like Old Man, something Old Man. I always forget what it is. But this is a pretty cool little area. It's like a little channel that comes through here, and it swings all the way down through here. Now it's very well protected, right? You're protected in here. You're really protected in here. Let me bring the water up and show you guys what this looks like when it's full. So I'm going to go back here or zoom this back out so you can see all the offshore stuff. And right here is your little creek channel. So just some really good stuff. You could see where they could, now where they're going to set up out in here, I don't know. You're going to have to fish it and just kind of figure out, you mainly focus on, if you're really trying to, fine tune your stuff, focus on the points and the swings, right? That point there, this whole swing right here could be good. Right in here, they may even be getting up in here. Could be super shallow, but they could be up there. That rattle trap just cover water. And then if they're not up in here on these shallower stuff, back out and fish more of the creek channel and see if you can find them on the creek channel. So as you get out here, the next area we go into is called Kickapoo. Now Kickapoo is gnarly as all get out as well, and super hard to get to. So if you don't have the lanes, you're probably not getting there. But once you get there, it's super, super cool. And you can see up here, again, a really cool area to fish, lots of vegetation, really good creek channels to fish around, and you can get way up in here. And usually if you get way, way up in here, this is where you start finding that warmer water, right? It's a little bit darker, a little bit browner, but a little bit warmer. So hopefully we'll be able to find them up in here. I mean, that's the plan, is that I plan to fish up in here and up in here the whole entire time. Now, that's what I planned to do last time, and it didn't work out that way. The other issue that you have fishing up here is that if you have a brand new boat, you probably don't want to come up here. That may have been what we did last year, is I had the Camus, and I did not want to bring the Camus up in here into Log Fest. But this year, should have the Skeeter, so we're going to do it. We're going to go back up in here. We've got the lanes. We should be good. And we're going to fish up in this area. Again, same type things I've been talking about. You know, your rattle traps, your square bills, your chatterbaits, red color for sure, your hybrid hunters, and then get out here on these bridges and fish the bridge pillars with your A-rigs. So key area up in here, definitely want to focus on that. Again, this lake doesn't have a lot of points, but what it has a lot of creek channels. So creek channels are awesome, right? One, it kind of shows you where all the flats are for the most point. And then two, they will set up on these creek channels. So if you're really having a hard time finding fish by just pounding the bank, pay more attention to your creek channels and pay attention to where those creek channels get close to the bank or make a big turn. So as I say that, let's take a look at this. So let's say we're coming in here and we're trying to find fish and we're pounding the bank and we can't find anything, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's back off and let's find where there's major turns, right? So here's a major turn right here. So I might scan this area in here, and I'm going to come up here. I'm definitely going to fish right in here. There's a big turn going on right in here, and there's a point there. So they can just pull off a little bit and see if they're just a little bit further out. Then you're going to follow this down, right? It comes here and it swings hard against these cypress trees that are right here. And I can tell you from experience that this little area right here at certain times of the year is money. And the reason it's money is because of this creek channel. This creek channel swings right in here, right against these trees right here, and goes kind of all the way down to about right there, and then it gets back out into the middle. Then as you move back in here, you're really looking for the same type thing. Well, the next thing that you see here is right up here off this point right here. That creek channel's right against that bank line. And those are going to be key areas to look at. Now, if we move back over here, let's just start up here at this bridge. Obviously, this is cool stuff up in here if you can get all the way back up in here, which I know you can. It just takes a while to get there. But you got some good stuff around those bridges. You got some really good swings going on up in here. You've got another hard swing right here around this point that swings back over around these trees and hits this, and then basically stays down that bank line right there. And you can just follow it. And then again, off this point, right? Off this point where these big turns are. Over here, where this big turn is here. Right here, where it swings out and gets really close to these trees. So you're kind of following me and see what I'm saying. You know, those are the kind of things you're going to look at, because sometimes they're not going to be all the way up in here yet, right? It's too early, but they're really close to it. They're in this area somewhere. It's just finding them, and finding them can be really, really hard, but hopefully that'll help you. So let's move over here and let's take a look at the last thing I want to show you guys on this video, and that's going to be the Nez arm. And hopefully I said that right, but the Nez River. In this area, actually, I prefer to come up here more than I do the other area. Why? Because one, there's a boat ramp really close to here, and I don't have to worry about going through those crazy trees to get back into Kickapoo and spend an hour trying to get back there. So I can come here, I can launch right here. There's a little path that'll take me through here and get me out close to this creek channel, and then I can start fishing. Now, I spent some time fishing over here later in the spring and had some success, but I'm thinking, you know, this is still early, so I'm gonna have to focus more on those creek channels, just like we've been talking this whole time. So I'm gonna pay really close attention to what's going on here and see if I can pick up some fish or pick up a key area where the fish are. So one is gonna be this bank line right here. As soon as I get to here, I'm gonna start fishing from here to here. And this creek channel, it goes way out here, but I've actually had success right in here too. I don't know why on that bank line right there around that whole island. That bank line from here all the way to here has been good to me before. So I'm gonna spend some time there. I may want to pull off here and see if there's anything up here too. As you come up here, there's a road bed. So you can see if there's anything hanging around that roadbed. There's a couple ditches back here too. And then as we swing around here, this little area right in here has been pretty good too. And this actually comes up and it is pretty deep back in here. And this can be pretty good too. We're talking pretty shallow, but it can get fairly warm up there as well. Now, last time I was up here, I think it was too shallow for me to get through here, or it was getting pretty hairy, so I had to back out and come all the way back down here. But if you can get up in here and the water's high enough, try looking right in here, in this little area here, especially in this little opening right here. Now again, this is all idle only, and it's gonna beat the heck out of your boat if you're not following the lanes perfectly. But if we follow the creek channel down here again, these little docks that you see right here, they're fairly close to a creek channel, so you could fish those docks and then pull off. There's nothing here, nothing here. And then you can get back in here. You can see we've got some pretty good swings going on in here. Some more in here, and just some really good shallow stuff back in there. Now, as you come across here, usually what I do is I fish these docks and I just shoot straight this way. And then I spend a lot of time fishing from basically right here to all the way past those tracks. I get pretty far up in there, probably somewhere up in here somewhere before I'll turn around. But what I'll do is basically, again, I'm focusing on that creek channel. So I'm gonna spend a lot of time fishing this bank line and fishing away from the bank line a little bit with that rattle trap, kind of getting a little bit further off the bank, but really focusing around that channel. And then I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna fish around here, and then I'm gonna zoom around here and come up here. I'm gonna fish this area too, because it's very close to that creek channel, right? Fishing over here. I'm gonna spend a lot of time fishing that railroad bridge. There's some good stuff around those railroad bridges. And then there's another good little pocket. I believe it comes up, it might be right in here, that I've done pretty good at as well. So a couple decent little areas, you know, to fish. Definitely really cool, shallow stuff. It's awesome to be fishing this thing in the spring. But hopefully that helps you guys out in kind of planning out your next, you know, your next tournament. This tournament, again, is going to be February the 8th, so likely going to be pretty cold. Again, I'm going to focus on water temperature, number one. I'm looking for the warmest water I can find. As soon as I find it, I'm going to spend a ton of time there. I'm looking for flats, but I'm not exactly fishing the flats. I'm fishing things that are close to the flats. So that would be your secondary points, your creek channels, all of that good stuff. And then last but not least, you always want to fish where you're protected from those northerly winds. So if you can get the land on the north side of you, stopping that wind from hitting you, and you're casting back into the north wind, that is an area that you definitely want to be going out and finding. Guys, I hope this helps you out. Go out, check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. We've got all these waypoints that we've been talking about today out there for you. You can put them on your SD card. You can import them into your graph. You can bring them into your phone via Navionics or Google Earth, or you could go out and download Simplistic Fishing mobile app and have access to not only Palestine, but all the lakes in the southern region, which is like 140 plus lakes, and do all of your planning and prepping for your next tournament right there on your mobile phone. So guys, go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. Check us out on the App Store. Google Play is coming. Hopefully next week we'll have it out there for you guys as well. I know we've had a lot of requests for that. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.